Shabbat Shalom. We'll begin our service with Yedid Nefesh on page 332. Yedid Nefesh Avaragama Mishokavtecha Eretzonecha Yarutzavtecha Kemo Hayam Ishtachave El Mol Hadorecha Yeravo Yedidutecha Minot Vetzuf Bevotam Adonai Ziv Haolam Nafshi Cholat Ahatecha Hana El Narifanalah Beharotha Noam Zivecha Az Titchazek V'Titrapeh V'Haitala Simchat Olam
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to everyone who's gathered into the sanctuary and those who are trickling in, and welcome to all of you who are joining us online. We're so glad that you're here. If you are new or newish to this space, and all of us are kind of newish to this space as the construction is taking place outside these doors, just a couple of directions. The restrooms that are easiest to use from here are outside the rear doors of the sanctuary. And the exits that we'll use are these two doors that lead into the courtyard, and the sanctuary exits can be used if needed. As you likely have seen or you will see whenever you open this door, the ceiling is gone, the floor is lifted up. There's a wonderful barrier that lets you know where not to walk. Please be aware of all of those safety measures, and also be excited as we are about the progress and what all this means for our synagogue as we both preserve its historic nature and honor its growing and its youthful spirit. So all of that is happening right outside these doors. We meet here tonight, as we always do, coming from many different places. Literally tonight, as we celebrate the bar mitzvah weekend of Max Bronick, who will be called to the Torah tomorrow, and many family and friends from near and far who are joined. And we also come here from many different emotional places and places of experience throughout the week. There are those who in this room have had recent losses, who are here to observe Yahrzeit, of course, who are here to celebrate wonderful moments in their lives. All of us, I'm sure, continually deeply troubled and in pain with the ongoing war and the terrible news just before Shabbat about the 3 captives who were lost. We all carry a lot whenever we come into the sanctuary, and unified in word, we lift each other up and ground each other in turn. So thank you for being here and for being a part of that building of a sacred space that can honor where everyone has come from. Just as Hanukkah is ending, I'd like to share one of my favorite stories from our tradition. In a mountain village many centuries ago, there was a nobleman who was concerned about the legacy he would leave to the people of his town. The man spent a great deal of time thinking about his dilemma and at last decided to build a synagogue. At long last, the project was completed. The townspeople were excited and curious about what they would find upon entering the new synagogue. When the people came for the first time, they marveled at the magnificence of the synagogue. And then, noticing what seemed to be a flaw in design, one asked, "Well, where are the lamps? Where are the lights? We only see brackets and holders on the wall. What will provide the light?" The proud nobleman gave each family a lamp and explained, "Whenever you come to the synagogue, I want you to bring your lamp. I want you to bring your own light and light the brackets. And each time you are not here," he said, "a part of it will be a little darker. This lamp will remind you that when you are absent, something is missing, and when you are present, something is much brighter. At the end of a hard day, at the end of a hard week, at the end of maybe a hard year, most definitely a hard year, and in the face of also so much light as we look around this room, we rely on each other for the shedding and the sharing of that light. That's why we've come to this place. We each bring a lamp. We each bring a light. So whether you have brought fear with you tonight, or sadness, or joy, or excitement, a poignant memory, a need for healing in the wake of difficult news or a difficult diagnosis, let us remember that this place is bright because we are in it. This place is bright because we are bringing the light. And we also each get to take a little bit of that light home with us. That is the gift of this community, the gift of gathering here tonight. To kindle those lights, to really remind us each and every week of what it means to come together, why we do it, and what we can gain from it. Tonight, it is a delight to invite forward this Shabbat's bar mitzvah, Max Bronig and his family, who will kindle our Shabbat lights and place that flame that each of us holds inside of us before our eyes. Please, if you all come forward, and we're on pages 3 and 2.
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness remind us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day become among those who kindle light.
Amen. On page 5, as Max lifts the Kiddush cup, we rise and sing together, sanctifying the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. Gilbert, Jody, Billy, and Max, Mazel Tov on this wonderful occasion. Max, we're so proud of you, so excited to celebrate with you tomorrow and have you lead us as you're so ready to do. You are certainly one of the brightest lights tonight. Mazel Tov. You all can be seated. And you all may be seated. Last night, we welcomed over 150 community leaders from all over New Orleans here into Touro, all races and ethnicities, Christians and Muslims and fellow Jews, spiritual and civic leaders who entered our space for a celebration of a year of good work with Together New Orleans, our interfaith coalition of which we are a part. Welcoming neighbors, friends, and even strangers into our space is always a tremendous honor. I'm optimistic about the many ways there will be to be involved in this kind of work going forward in the next year, and I want to thank the dozen or more Touro congregants who were here to greet and help out to make last night possible. Our tradition, our Jewish tradition, as with others that evolved in the ancient Near East, places a high importance on hospitality, on welcoming, Kabbalah, receiving of guests. This commitment to welcome is also evident in our story. It's the reason that we sing the psalms that we're about to sing. As a composite with these psalms, we call them all together Kabbalat Shabbat, the reception of Shabbat, the receiving of Shabbat, and their function as we sing together is to create a hospitable environment in our space and in our hearts for the arrival of this spirit of rest and joy. With the words that we will say and the words that we will sing in the next few minutes, let us each hold for ourselves an intention. It will be unique to each person of what we would like to invite in this Shabbat, what we most need, and what the world most needs from us. May the arrival of this guest, this Sabbath queen, herald in a time that is restorative of our gratitude and our love and the best of our humanity. We begin with Kabbalat Shabbat, pages 12 and 13.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Nariya letzor ishenu, Nekad mapanav betoda, Bizmirot nariya lo. The facing page. Shiru l'Adonai, Shir chadad, Shiru l'Adonai kohanet, Shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Zapru v'goyim kevodu b'chol ha'amim,
Page 20, Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 8, and 9. The true entrance of the spirit of Shabbat, a welcome, a reception for the spirit of rest we so desperately need. As verse 9, we sing, we turn to face the entrance and express that spirit of Kabbalah.
Ohi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzola, tochem hunei, am segula, bo'ichala, bo'ichala, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat lekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat lekabela, b'nei Shabbat lekabela.
You can be seated. This is the time of our service here each Friday that we get to invite up all of those who are here with us, who are not quite to the age of bar or bat mitzvah, even if it's not till tomorrow morning, just squeaked in. If you are not quite to your b'nai mitzvah, we'd like to invite you to come on up to the bima. You don't have to do anything except look cute. If you want to bring one of your big people, if that makes you feel better, come on up. But we mean it. If you are not quite an adult in our community, this is our chance to give you your blessing and a little treat. And if you're not sure if I'm talking to you, I am talking to you. We would love to have you come on up. So watch these experts. Whether you've had an awesome week, whether you've had a really difficult week, or if, like most of us, it was a mix of both, remember that Shabbat is when we get to take deep breaths, spend time with those we love, and reset for next week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ken yehi ratzon Yaher Adonai panav elecha Vichuneka Ken yehi ratzon Yiza Adonai panav elecha Ve'yasem lecha shalom Ken yehi ratzon
And for any of you who are going to be visiting with the babysitting team, you can leave through the rear door or I guess through here, and you'll find them over by the chapel. Please make sure one of their big people checks in just so that they know who to be in touch with if they need anything. We'll continue on pages 28 and a few pages following with the Baruch Hu. Please rise. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. On page 30, 6 lines up in the Hebrew.
Umavir yom umehi laila Umabdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzon shemo El chai v'kayam Tamid yimoch aleinu leolam vaed Baruch atah Adonai Amari Arabi.
Page 33 at the bottom. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Together, what could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form?
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Yai, 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 yai,
Page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You can be seated, and it's our pleasure to invite back up for one of our blessings tonight, tomorrow's bar mitzvah, Max Bronig. Come on up, Max.
Page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 40 from Micha Mocha.
Mi kamoka ba'elim Adonai, mi kamoka nedar ba'kodesh, mi kamoka ba'elim Adonai, mi כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ופניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל.
As many of you know, we have made it a tradition to gather at 5:30 in the chapel to pray for each and every captive who is held, and also all of the civilians, no matter where they're from, no matter where they live, who are caught in the midst of this violence, all those who are innocent and whose lives are torn apart. We use, to express that fervent prayer, we use the words of Hashkivenu on page 42, because it's a prayer for shelter. It's a prayer that asks that God watch over each and every person and build a Sukkot Shalom. It has also felt meaningful during these difficult days to link up that prayer with the best shelter we can think of at this moment, which is the shelter of hope. The shelter of hope and prayer that a better day is possible for all. So we do that using the song on the inside of your order of service. As we pray Hashkivenu, may each and every one of us be sheltered on this Shabbat by the comforting hope that better days will arrive. The message of this darkest season, the holiday of Hanukkah that we've just completed, is that light can be brought into the world with the simplest of intentional acts. So in these moments, perhaps all we have the capacity to do is lift our prayers and hold on to our hope. Our prayers for a different time, a different day. They are our Sukkot Shalom. They are the fulfillment of our Hashkivenu on this night. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. You can try that part. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing, and I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, oh, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
b'chol mideinu shomeinu l'chaim. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom b'chol mideinu shomeinu l'chaim. U'shmot zeiteinu
Guard our going out.
u'boeinu
And our returning again.
l'chaim u'shalom ve'ata ve'adonai. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom b'chol mideinu shomeinu l'chaim.
All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play one day, one day, one day,
Eloheinu l'shalom
one
b'chol
day,
mideinu
one day,
shomeinu
one day, oh,
l'chaim.
one day, one day.
One day, one day,
One day.
On pages 46 and following, we rise for the Amidah.
We'll begin with the Nigun, a Nigun that's made it halfway around the world and back because this melody was written right here by Terrence Blanchard, Branford Marsalis, and Bill Lee. But I don't know it because it came from here. I know it because someone sent me a cell phone video of a Friday evening service in Tel Aviv. And that's when I first heard this tune. Yai dai 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 dai. 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 Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi, Tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi, Tehilatecha. Yai dai 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 dai. 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagato, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מקלקל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You can be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And on page 59, we read together at the top of the page. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'el lehodot. Take a few moments now for our own silent prayers, the prayers of our own hearts.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atom Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Atom Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol het u'b'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim
another one of our amazing lights tonight is the celebration and the welcome of Ali Perez into the family of the Jewish people. And so I'd like to invite you, Ali, to come forward and join me before the ark, and to invite the congregation as the ark is open, please to rise. Ali, your membership in the Jewish people, the reunion of your Jewish identity that's always really been a part of you with your community is a gift for all of us. All your striving and your learning and your leadership over the last 2 years since you first made this decision have all led to this moment of a beautiful claiming, a moment of affirmation of who you are and the way you have always been. I'd like to offer you this blessing as you hold our sacred text. You have been known by the name Ali Perez, which means that you are always to be linked in love with those who gave you life and who gave you your beautiful name. And from this time forth, you shall also be known by a new name within the Jewish community as Leora Bat Avraham V'Sara. You picked this name because of its sound, but also its meaning, its light, that Hanukkah's always been a touchstone for you, and those lights that symbolize all the beauty in the world and the hope that you give your students and the hope that you give all of us who know you. May this name that you have chosen bring respect to you and honor to the Jewish people. We rejoice and welcome into our midst you who willingly and devotedly has helped to replenish our ranks. As our people have done throughout the ages, I'll ask now if you will say the Shema with me as you hold our sacred Torah scroll.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
And it's my privilege now to give you this blessing as you claim this new name, as you hold this scroll, and you look forward to all the amazing experiences that were before you as a Jewish woman. May this be your blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you safe and strong. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May the light of God shine upon you. May God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai, panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the light of God always shine upon you. May you see God's face in every face that you encounter, and may you always be granted the greatest gift that we can imagine, the gift of wholeness, completeness, and peace. Mazel tov. And we can all say Mazel tov. You may be seated.
Take a few moments now, as we do in all of our prayer services, to think about those in our families, those in our circles of friends and loved ones, those in our community, and those around the world who we may never meet, who are in some state of incompleteness, whether it's of their body or of their spirit or of their mind. We say this blessing, Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, and Rebekah, and Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are ill. And if you are thinking of anyone's name and you wish, we invite you now to whisper it. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and of spirit. And to that, let us all say, Amen.
שפרח. אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. Elna refana, Elna refana la, Elna refana, Elna refana, Mishapera. אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך וירפא את החולים.
In his poem, The Great Wagon, the great 13th century Muslim scholar and poet Rumi wrote, quote, "Beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." This poem is a passionate description of the beauty to be found in life, in our everyday habits, but also in stepping away from them. It's about the mysterious majesty in the world that can be revealed at unexpected times and places. As Rumi invites us into his poem centuries later, I invite you to picture this place with me. Beyond the ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. This place he describes sounds like a bit of Olam Haba, a bit of heaven, especially right now. This field where we can meet, this field that is beyond the battle lines, literal and figurative, that we draw every day in our lives. This field is not where we live, of course, and he notes this. We have to agree to go there, to depart this kind of existence for a radically different destination, if but for a moment or two, or maybe an hour. And what that looks like in practice, finding that field beyond right and wrong, is found in this and next week's Torah portion. Our Torah portion this week, Miketz, continues the three-part parsha story of Joseph and his brothers. It is the longest continual narrative in our entire Torah. As you'll recall, Joseph's brothers cast him out because they are jealous of their father's favoritism toward him, symbolized by the gift of the multicolored tunic. And they are fed up with Joseph's superiority complex. Then they sell him into servitude in Egypt. From servitude and later prison, Joseph rises to become Pharaoh's advisor, and he meets his brothers again years later when they come to Egypt in search of food during a famine. They, of course, do not recognize him. In the final installation of this story, which we will read next week, Joseph reveals his identity to his brothers. They demonstrate their remorse to him in this moment of catharsis. They hug and they cry. They cry for lost time, for the gift of the present. This is perhaps the most powerful moment in the entire Torah, and this story of Joseph is perhaps one of the most instructive for us. Learning from this narrative about Joseph invites us to acknowledge the complexity of human relationships, especially when they become strained, which they often do. For in this story, just like in life, fault does not lie at the feet of only one party. but rather there is plenty of fault to go around. The fault lies at the feet of Jacob, surely, who elevates one son above the others, granting favors and giving him gifts that he owes to all his sons or none. Fault lies at the feet of Joseph, who brags and he humiliates his big brothers. And it lies at the feet of those brothers, surely, who take their anger out on Joseph instead of expressing it to their father, and who make the catastrophic decision to sell him into captivity in Egypt. Therefore, the healing and the reparations that occur require a degree of emotional maturity and strength, and a willingness to admit that right doing and wrongdoing are of little use, a willingness to meet in the field beyond right and wrong and to see what might grow there. This story helps to remind us that sensation is not substance. The most sensational parts of these characters' lives, Jacob's coat-giving, Potiphar's favoritism and jealous anger toward Joseph last week, Pharaoh's bestowing great riches upon Joseph, none of these is the true heart of the story. Likewise, the sensational moments in our own lives are not the substance either. It is compelling, it is intoxicating even, to engage in the most dramatic, to draw lines in the sand, to allow ourselves to partake in sweeping generalizations, satisfying though they may be, about the other side of an issue or a fight. And the inertia of the righteous anger of any particular point of view is strong. But we must admit, as the players ultimately do in this narrative, that reconciliation and forward movement does not arise from those places. They arise from much smaller, quieter sources, from the tenderness that can only be found in the field of encounter. After the anger in this parsha, after the violence, the digging in of the heels, the throwing around of the weight, the heart of this Torah story, the holiest place, is Joseph and his brothers in the same room, looking one another in the eye and remembering, maybe discovering for the first time, that they are a part of one another, that their future is bound up together. Their father cannot do this for them, and neither can Pharaoh. They must do it themselves on terms that fit their own time and their own needs and capacities. They do finally reach for one another, find their shared humanity, and from that place, they begin anew, a spark, like a shamash kindling a new wick. I want to be clear that this is not a message tonight suggesting a particular military strategy for Israel or any nation, nor is it a universal path of resolution for every interpersonal argument or family struggle. It is not intended to be either of those things. This is simply a message to urge each one of us to remember that the field exists. It exists in the Torah. It exists in the mind of a 13th century Islamic mystic. And it also exists in the spirit of some beautiful poetry that emerged from both the Israeli and Palestinian people. Two of the strongest voices to emerge from these two peoples, both writing throughout the back half of the 20th century, are the poets Mahmoud Darwish and Yehuda Amichai. As I share their brief poems, I invite us to listen to the call of the field. Darwish writes, "She said, 'When will we meet?' And I said, 'After a year and when the war ends.' And she said, 'When will the war end?' And I said, 'When we meet.'" He is articulating in these short verses the yearning for a time outside of time, a space outside of space, where the wars of our lives do not keep us from one another. And Amichai writes, in perhaps my favorite of his poems, and there are so many to choose from, Hamakom bo anu tzodkim, the place where we are right. He writes, "From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole, like a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. Amichai makes clear in these words what a barren place it is, the place where we are so right. And he paints a picture with his words, I think, of Rumi's field, a place where the sharing of doubts and loves dig up and turn the soil, making room for the whispers of growth we most need to hear. We all know that there are moments when circumstances demand those battle lines. Those dramatic and sensational gestures are best efforts at the identification of right and wrong, the clear articulation of particular identity and distinction that comes from a deep and true part of us. We all know that. The challenge that we face is that our subjectivity and our particularism can make us alienated from one another. It can make us strangers and even enemies so easily, so quickly. So we must select those moments with great care, deeply aware of the consequences of our entrenchment. It is a narrow place on either side of that barricade, a place with so few choices. But the wider expanse in the field that Rumi beckons toward, that Darwish hints at, that Amichai yearns for, that the Torah describes in this story, that is an essential yearning in us, an essential yearning in every human heart. Because we can, when so many others cannot. This space is what we must build in our community, in our synagogue family, in our sanctuary. This field where things can grow, where lovers talk despite the war, where estranged brothers meet and weep, that is where we must return, over and over again, no matter what. Psalm 118, we may be familiar, says, Min hametzar karatiya, va'ani amerchavya. From the narrowest of places, I cry out for you, and you answer me from the wide expanse. In other words, beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Shabbat Shalom. Our concluding prayers begin on page 282. Invite you to please rise as we declare our unique responsibility as a Jewish people to perform acts of tikkun olam. We sing together.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We dedicate this final moment of prayer to those whom we have loved and lost, those who died at this season in years past, and those who we hold in our hearts every Shabbat. On this Shabbat, before we share those names, a prayer written by Rabbi Naomi Levy. Perhaps it will resonate with you as it does me. I miss you. I haven't forgotten you, even though it's been some time now since I've seen your face, touched your hand, heard your voice. You are with me all the time. I used to think you left me, but I know better now. You come to me. Sometimes in fleeting moments, I feel your presence close by. I still miss you, and nothing, no person, no joy, no accomplishment, no distraction, not even God, can fill the gaping hole your absence has left in my life. But mixed together with all my sadness, there is a great joy for having known you. I want to thank you for the time we shared, for the love you gave, for the wisdom you spread. Thank you for the magnificent moments and for the ordinary ones too. There was beauty in our simplicity, holiness in our unspectacular days. And I will carry the lessons you taught me always. Your life has ended, but your light can never be extinguished. It continues to shine upon me, even in the darkest nights, and it illumines my way. As I share these names, if you are linked in love to those on our list tonight, you are invited to rise in their honor and remain standing until the congregation joins you. We send our love and support to the family of Audrey Zimmerman, who passed away just today and who will be laid to rest after Shabbat. For Shloshim on this Shabbat, those who died within the last 30 days, we recall and give thanks for the lives of Rabbi David Ellenson, Cantor Judith Borden Ovadia, June Pays Lestelle, Dixon Singleton, Izzy Sherman, Joan Allenberg Gerard. And for Yartzeit, on this Shabbat, we recall and honor Alfred Leon Olenek, Jeanette Mayer Benjamin, Harry Bennett, Ida Kagan Berg, Lily Mansberg Block, Don Bowers, Mary Katie Rubenstein, Milton H. Cohen, Ben Cohn, Norma Tannenbaum Duff, Paul Figman, Elise Yaret Fishman, Charles Gartner, Alfred Geismar, Louise Aaron Glazer, Gershon Goldstein, Helen Axon Goldstein, Harry Goodman, Betty Hamburger Green, Emily Kahn Gruenberg, Mary Heineman, Selma Talsheimer Huss, Boaz Kirstein, Sam Latner, Matilda Kahn Leucht, Benjamin Lewis Levy Sr., Alvin Philip Lichtenstag, Hannah Cohen Lightman, Jonah McGinnis, Louis Max Oakes, David Tobias Pick, Ralph I. Shepard, Mordechai Silverman, Bertha Lischkoff Sontheimer, Gertrude Schwartz Stern, Jack Stitch, Charles L. Woldenberg, and Leonard M. Wolf. I'll bring my hand around the congregation. If you came to remember someone, you're invited to rise and say their name. For those we say aloud, for those we hold in our heart, and for those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we rise, page 294, and declare together, Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Be'alam Ulamei Amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'ama v'imru, amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel. May God send comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite forward our congregational president, Dr. Laura Levy, for some words of greeting and announcements.
Welcome and Shabbat Shalom. We're grateful tonight to Chris Lorenzen and Julie Kopman, who welcomed us as we came in the door. Thank you. Thank you to Max and his family for leading us in the candle lighting and Kiddush tonight. Thank you. And we appreciate the beautiful pulpit flowers. They are given with love and honor of our Bar Mitzvah, Max Bronig, by his family. They're given in memory of Gershon Goldstein by Martin Goldstein and family, in memory of Selma Thalsheimer Huss by the Hammer family, and in memory of Ralph I. Shepard by the Shepard family. Thank you. Shabbat morning at Touro Synagogue begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. with Torah study. Thank you to Bill Norman, who will lead the discussion this week. Our Bar Mitzvah, Max Cole Bronig, will actually become Bar Mitzvah tomorrow in the Shabbat morning service beginning at 10:30 a.m. in the main sanctuary. I have some wonderful news and congratulations to share with you. I have to tell you a little bit about the backstory of this good news. The New Orleans City Council recently established a new fund called the New Orleans Recreation and Culture Fund. It provides support for nonprofit community organizations, youth recreation organizations, culture bearer organizations that contribute substantially to the well-being, development, and growth of the New Orleans community. So, at a special city council meeting this week, Touro Synagogue was deeply honored to receive a $50,000 grant from this fund in recognition of the impact we have on the New Orleans community, in particular through arts and culture program, including the VIP Kids, Jazz Fest Shabbat, and more. Council member Leslie Harris sponsored our grant proposal, and I know each of you joins me in thanking the council member and the entire New Orleans City Council for this support. If you'd like to drop a note to Council Member Harris, there's a link in today's Shabbat email at her name where you can open it and send her an email. Please do. We weren't the only Jewish community organization or even Touro Synagogue member to be honored in this way. Saul's Light, a nonprofit organization founded and directed by Touro Synagogue member Kimberly Novad, also received a grant from this fund. And we were thrilled to see other members of the Jewish community honored, including the Jewish Community Center and the Museum for Southern Jewish Experience. Mazel tov to all. You may have seen in this week's T-mails that we received an urgent call for support of a group of asylum seekers recently arrived in New Orleans. The 4 men are in need of winter clothing and some supplies. A list of those needs may be found on the back of your order of service. Please help us deliver to them the things they need this winter. Please bring them to the synagogue by Tuesday. This is an urgent need on a short lead time, I know. Please bring them by Tuesday, December 19th, and board member Danielle Roof will deliver them to the recipients. Thank you for that support. An important reminder about winter break. The office will be closed from Saturday, December 23rd through Monday, January 1st. We will continue to hold Shabbat service and Torah study as planned. There will be no Shabbat dinner on Friday, December 22nd or Friday, December 29th. There will not be Shabbat morning nosh on Saturday, December 23rd or Saturday, December 30th. But tonight, all are welcome, as always, to join us for Shabbat dinner in the Grant Meyer Garden Pavilion. Shabbat Shalom.
An additional word of welcome to everyone who's here, whether you're here visiting, here for a simcha, or this is one of your first times here at Touro Synagogue. If you are in that last category especially, I hope that you will consider staying for Shabbat dinner, coming and introducing yourself to our clergy and leaders. We're so glad that you found Touro and would love to help you get better connected and more comfortable here in our congregational family. Our concluding song is Adon Olam, page 321. Please rise as we sing together.
Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Leheit Nasa V'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimlok Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yeh V'tifara Vehu Echad Ve'ein Sheni Lehamshilo Leachbira Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit Ve'lo Ha'oz Ve'hamizrah Chai gali v'tzochem li v'etzara Vehu nisi umanos li v'nat kosi v'yom ekra Ve'yato afkid ruki v'etisha v'ha'ira Ve'imruki geviati Adonai li velo yira Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lachem min haaretz Shabbat shalom.